Hi guys, welcome to another Divi Theme video. This is Jamie from System22 and webdesignandtechtips.com. Well, we got two little buttons for you today, and they got sort of diagonal variegated backgrounds there. Nice little eye-catching buttons for you. Really easy to do. We had somebody ask us to do this. We've just finished a site for a client and they asked us to do some interesting buttons for them. So we did these, and I thought I'd share it on here. So let's get started. I'm going to enable the Visual Builder. I've got a section down here, blue tab. Inside I've got a row, the green tab. And I've got two little button modules. Let's add another button module. Divi comes as standard with all these light grey modules here. Plenty enough to build just about any site. There's the button module. I'm just going to pop that in there. Great. Okay, obviously write what you want your button to say right there. And down below there, we've got the link where you want to take your visitors when they click on the button. Always best practice, if you're linking to your own site, keep it in the same window. If you're linking to somebody else's site or off-site, open it in a new tab. That way your site's going to stay open. Okay, I'm not going to add an admin label. I'm going to go over to my design tab and I'm going to pop him in the middle. So it's always going to sit in the middle of my column there. Okay, moving on down, text-wise, I'm actually not going to mess with this. I could make that light in color here, but I'm going to go straight into the button and use custom styles. Okay, text size is a little big for me. I'm going to take it down to maybe 18. You can type in a value or slide or increment up and down with the little arrows right there. I think 18 works for me. I'm going to turn the text color actually white, and you'll see it disappear into the background there. Now here's the fun bit. For our button background, you've got a choice of a color, a gradient, or you can add an image if you want to. To segregate these two colors and make this effect that we've got here, I'm going to use a gradient, which is the middle one. I'm going to hit the add background gradient button. As you can see, it's put in a little color there for me by default. That's great, but the colors I actually want to use is perhaps orange and the default blue. So I'll leave the default blue in the top there. Obviously you make it whatever colors you want to. This green one, I'm just going to left click on it. I'm going to make it orange. And that's kind of a strange looking button there, but we're going to fix that. Great. Well, Divi's just up their gradient gain, so you can add as many or as few stops as you want to this by simply putting your cursor on there, left clicking to add a new stop, and you can add whatever color you want. If you decide you don't want it, just right click, hit remove gradient stop. Okay, well, we got the colors that we want, but it's not looking at all like I want. Linear gradient's great. You can do all kind of different things to get some amazing effects. You've got circular, elliptical, and conical, and there you can get some crazy effects. I'm actually going to leave mine on the linear right there. And to get these two colors properly segregated, so you've got, like we have here, one stops and the other one starts with no blur there, I'm going to drag them down on top of each other, and I kind of want it to be over here somewhere, but I'll have to rotate it to do that. So I want sort of 60% of blue and 40% of the orange. So I'm going to drag the blue up to about 60%. Remember, this is 60% of the width. And our little orange one, I'm going to drag straight on top of it. And you'll notice that now they're two completely separate colors, which is the effect we're going for here. Great, well now we can decide on the direction. So if we roll this till it gets to where we want it, I think I used about 120 before, and again you can type in a value, you can roll up and down with your cursor there. Obviously get it how you want it. Now if we roll down a bit more, I don't want to repeat the gradient. I don't want to change the gradient unit. I don't want to put the gradient above an image because I'm not using one. Button border width, I'm going to make that perhaps 3 pixels, and I'm also going to use that orange color. There we go, we're shaping up now. Now border radius, I want to make my buttons round And to do that, we need a high border radius. So I'm going to put in about perhaps 30 pixels. And again, it's styling, it's totally up to you. Letter spacing is fine. The button font, as with all things Divi, they've got a huge amount of fonts. To audition one, just click on there, roll it over one, it'll give you an example of it. I'm going to leave mine on the default. I am going to make mine uppercase. And I do want to show a button icon. I'll just use this icon for expediency. They've just teamed up with Font Awesome 4, so there's a huge amount of icons here to choose from. And you can scroll through, you can do a search. You can hit this little button here, it'll pop out into a breakout box. Make it easier for searching for you. Okay, well there's my icon. I can't see it there. If we roll on down, I'm going to make the icon white. I don't want it to show only on hover, I want it to show all the time. So if I turn that off, my little icon's going to appear there. And as you can see, we've pretty much completed our button here. I'm going to give it a little bit of text shadow just to make it stand out against the background here. And perhaps a bit of box shadow to lift it off the page. Now what you can do also, if you feel like it, you can have a hover color, have one of these or both of these colors change however you want to do it. To do that, we can go back up to our button up here. Button background color, here's our gradient. If you roll over the writing within a module, you see some little icons appear. If there's a little arrow there, we can set a desktop state, which is the way we're looking at it now, and a hover state. And we can set a different gradient color for the hover state. So let's just perhaps change the orange as we're on it. So the orange, we're going to click on it, let's change it to black. Great. And we'll also do that for our border, as that was the border color we were using. Here's the border type, button border color. Again, hover over and the little dark icons will pop up. And on hover, we're going to change that to black too. There we go, great. So that's really it. We've kind of finished our button here. And it should work perfectly for, I'm going to switch to desktop right there. But it's looking a little squashed to me. I want my button to be a little wider there. I'm going to do a tiny bit of coding just to make this work for me. It's entirely up to you whether you want to do this or not. I'm going to go over to my advanced, to my custom CSS, to the main element. I'm going to make mine a constant width. That way if you've got different amounts of writing in there, it'll remain the same width. So I'm going to say width, perhaps 200 pixels. And again, obviously you make yours whatever width you want, or leave them on the default. Okay, that's great. That seems to work fine for me. If you have a problem and the text itself is not centering properly, you can use text align, colon, center. And pop it in the center just like that. And I'll put those two little lines of code down below for anybody that might want to use them. Okay, when you're happy, we can save our changes and we'll have a look on the front end. Actually, before we get it on the front end, let's go back in there and I'll quickly show you before we look at it on the front end, if you want the icon on the left hand side and the gradient the other way. So we're simply going to go back in there. I'm not going to change a whole lot to do this. It's pretty simple. Let's go back to our design, to our button. Here's our button background. Let's go to our gradient. And I'm actually going to flip it around. So it's the other way around. I don't know, about 220, something like that. And again, increment up, down with the little arrows if you need to. That's great. Now I want to pop that icon on the left hand side. So we can go down, show button icon, button icon placement at the right is the default. Let's switch that to left and you've got the opposite button. Okay, well let's do that again. Let's save this and have a look on the front end. Save our changes and exit the Visual Builder. And there we have it. There's our little button. When I hover over it, it's going to change color. And of course you click on it, take your people where you want to take them. And that's a nice little effect, nice little two-tone button for your website right there. So I hope you've enjoyed this today and found it useful. Don't forget, if you've got any questions, put them below the video and I'll do my best to answer them or make a demo video for you. Having things like this when people are rolling around your site is really eye-catching and a great idea. So once again, this has been Jamie from System22 and webdesignandtechtips.com. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.